Live from WTOC, the Southeast News leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Well, we'd like to welcome you all back to The News on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. We start with a programming note as we are standing by for the Atlanta Falcons to introduce their new general manager, Ian Cunningham. That introductory press conference is scheduled to begin any moment now, and we will be taking an extended look at it right here on WTOC Plus. However, in the meantime, we do have a pair of overnight fires to tell you about. Garden City Fire Rescue units responded to the area of Kicklighter Way and Highway 80. That was for a vehicle fire threatening a nearby building last night. Crews arrived to find a passenger vehicle with fire in the engine compartment. The fire was quickly brought under control. No other cars or buildings were damaged, and fortunately, no injuries were reported. Well, this also happened overnight. The Beaufort Port Royal Fire Department and Paris Island Fire responded to a fire at the 1500 block of Rebo Road in Port Royal. This is a still from the scene around 10:30 last night. Fire response impacted traffic heading into Port Royal on Rebo Road at Ladies Island Drive. We are working to learn more details. And we do have more information this morning after an 18-year-old woman was killed during a crash yesterday morning in Screven County. The sheriff's office identified the teen as 18-year-old Kiana Weisner. Officials tell WTOC that ice likely contributed to the crash, which resulted in the death of the teen. The Screven County Sheriff said this was one of multiple accidents after the winter storm came through our area, saying that on the same morning, another accident happened where a vehicle driven by a pregnant woman slid off into a ditch. We have continuing coverage on this. Residents in Richmond Hill packed a town hall to question Westwind Elements, the company that's proposing a nickel refinery in Bryan County. It comes after weeks of public outcry against it, citing environmental and safety risks. There's also been legal disputes between the company and county leadership. There's been a recent cease and desist letter sent to county leaders. The company wants to bring it here, says the refining process produces no solid or liquid waste. They promised community access to environmental monitoring as well. We should note the battle will continue as they pulled the project from the upcoming Bryan County Development Authority meeting agenda, saying more public input is needed before any action is taken.
I just heard about it through the local Facebook groups. Nobody approached me in a parking lot. It kind of came as a surprise to a lot of people, and this whole thing feels like some sort of damage control.
And we are a very unique company that we are voluntarily making ourselves available for third-party continuous monitoring of air, water, and soil. To start on the basis is, does this community need higher paying jobs? And based on the results of that petition, I believe it does.
Westwind executives say the facility will retrofit the existing industrial site and not rely on taxpayer funding. The county commission chair says no vote is possible for now. A city hall meeting is scheduled next as the debate over the project continues. Well, Savannah and Chatham County leaders are preparing their pitches for state lawmakers. That's because more than 750 people are headed to the state capitol tomorrow for an event that's been going on for about 30 years now. The Georgia General Assembly will be listening to leaders like Brett Brantley, CEO of the area's Chamber of Commerce. He says he's looking for the state to invest in tourism as the World Cup welcomes international visitors that he believes will stay long enough to make a visit to the hostess city. Savannah Mayor Van Johnson has his own agenda, which includes fighting for key issues during the election year.
We want to continue to expand infrastructure. For us, housing is still a key priority. Child care is a key priority. The low-income tax credits that help us to get to affordable housing is extremely important as well. So we're going up there as a united community, but we all have our different priorities.
Governor Brian Kemp has already approved some of the Savannah-related items, including funding for tourism and a $50 million homeless response grant. We should note WTOC's Cam McCann will be at the Capitol tomorrow with more. You can watch that live during The News, as well as Governing Georgia on WTOC Plus Friday afternoon. Well, a bill advancing at the Georgia Capitol could change high school sports across the state, allowing student athletes to make money off their name, image, and likeness, NIL. Supporters say it puts guardrails around a system that already exists, but critics warn it could open the door to pressure and exploitation. State House reporter Abby Kasouris has the details.
The bill passed unanimously out of committee, but not without concern. Lawmakers say they need to balance both pressure and protection.
This is going to be the 1 o'clock Policy and Innovation Subcommittee.
Inside a small committee room under the Gold Dome, lawmakers faced a question stirring big debate. Should Georgia high school athletes be allowed to profit from their own name?
NIL is kind of the wild, wild west, and so and a lot of students and student athletes are getting taken advantage of out there.
House Bill 383, the Georgia High School NIL Protection Act, sponsored by Representative Brent Cox, would let athletes take endorsement deals while making sure contracts don't lock them in long term.
The gist of this bill is to make sure when a student athlete moves to the next level of college that current structured contract they have is null and void, and they can now move forward into a renegotiated contract.
Cox points to stories from college and NFL players. Contracts signed too young can siphon years of potential earnings. This bill is meant to protect Georgia athletes from that fate. Right now, the money is modest. According to the Georgia High School Association, roughly 100 high school athletes statewide have NIL deals, most for free gear or small endorsements, not big paydays. But opponents warn even small deals can bring adult pressures into teenage spaces.
Any time we introduce money at magnitudes and scales that these kids and their families have yet to even think about, it could lead to some unintended consequences.
Attorney Nick Aramilli says the bill brings clarity, and clarity is crucial when minors are involved.
When this law gets passed, everybody's going to be deemed to be on notice. These are the laws in Georgia. These are the laws about NIL.
Former UGA and NFL running back Keith Marshall, who played at Georgia, says the reality is already here, with or without new laws.
This is not a handout. They're a significant part of creating the value that we all get to enjoy.
The big debate and vote over the bill is still ahead. Lawmakers have time to amend it or delay it. At the state capitol, I'm Abby Kasouris.
Well, this is happening today at the state capitol. Georgia conservation voters are there with a focus on data centers and utility protections. They're hosting their annual 100% Lobby Day. Organizers will speak from the Capitol steps about consumer protections. Utility costs have made headlines because of the rise in data centers here in Georgia and new members on the Public Service Commission, which regulates those costs. Turning now to national news. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem now says body cameras are being deployed to all federal law enforcement officers in Minnesota. Protesters gathered in Minneapolis yesterday calling for the end of the surge in immigration enforcement. Bradley Blackburn has more.
Protesters gathered outside the corporate headquarters of Target, one of Minnesota's largest companies, calling on the new CEO to speak out against the immigration enforcement surge.
They can listen to us, they can stand with us, and they can demand that ICE leave Minnesota now.
With pressure mounting, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem took to X to announce, effective immediately, we are deploying body cameras to every officer in the field in Minneapolis, adding it will eventually expand nationwide. President Trump reacted from the Oval Office.
Well, it wasn't my decision. I leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening.
So people just want to make sure that they are showing proof of citizenship.
ICE remains deployed in Minneapolis, and this Native American Resource Center is helping tribal members prepare in case they're stopped by federal agents.
We just are doing what we can to protect everyone.
The ongoing tension in Minneapolis is affecting schools, too. Monday, one school district was forced to cancel all classes due to a bomb threat.
These last 2 weeks have been horrific and exhausting.
The situation in Minnesota is now a major issue in a partial government shutdown.
Democrats are going to play games, and the American people can see who really cares.
Taxpayer dollars should not be spent to brutalize and kill American citizens.
Senate Democrats say they will not vote to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless there are deeper reforms. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Well, we talked about this off the top of the show, but the Atlanta Falcons are introducing Ian Cunningham as their new general manager. Let's go ahead and listen in live.
Our CEO, Greg Beatles, as well as Josh Blank, all served on the search committee for this hire. We're going to start with opening statements, first from Matt Ryan, and then we'll go to Ian Cunningham, and then we'll open it up to questions. Matt?
All right, thank you, Brett. I want to start by saying thank you to the search committee. It's been a busy couple of weeks for sure, but I said it in the last press conference for Kevin as well. Their tireless effort and attention to detail, was inspiring for me to be a part of and to see from them. And I think the fruits of that labor are here in Kevin and both Ian. So a big thank you to them. A big thank you to Arthur for his guidance during the process. My first time going through both searches, and his wisdom and guidance was extremely helpful. So thank you very much. Now to Ian. We are excited to have Ian as a part of the Atlanta Falcons. His time frame in the league starts at the same time as mine, 2008, where he started with the Baltimore Ravens and spent the seasons from 2008 to 2016 in Baltimore. Went from the very beginning, the entering spots, and worked his way up as an area scout in both the Southeast and the Southwest during his time in Baltimore. From there, he moved on to Philadelphia from 2017 to 2021 and served in various capacities for the Eagles during that time. And then in 2022, became a Chicago Bear and was the assistant general manager in Chicago the last 4 seasons. We are really excited about all of those experiences. He learned from incredible general managers during those stops, whether that be Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta in Baltimore, Howie Roseman in Philadelphia, and Ryan Poles in Chicago. I think that was one of the biggest selling points for us on Ian, was his experience in all areas of scouting. He has touched it all. And I think from the general manager position, an understanding of what those positions go through and what the expectations for them are was very important to us through that process. So we are really excited about the experience that he brings to the Atlanta Falcons. Big congratulations to his family, his wife Justine, daughters Elliot Rooney and son Niall, and he's got some extended family here as well. We hope you can all celebrate this experience with him and have had a good time the last couple of days here in Atlanta. We're excited to have you a part of the Falcons family. So with that, I will pass it off to Ian and say thank you very much for coming here. We're excited to have you a part of the Atlanta Falcons.
Appreciate you, Matt. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. I'm just taking this in for a second. This is pretty special to come back home. To a franchise or organization that I grew up watching right up the road in Roswell. Before I get going, I'd like to thank Arthur and the Blank family for entrusting me with this opportunity, this leadership role to work alongside Greg and Matt and Kevin to help push us forward and push this organization forward. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank the search committee, along with Matt and Greg, Russ and Webster, along with some others. It was a thorough process, a detailed process. I remember mentioning it in one of my interviews, how appreciative I was to be a part of that process. And I knew, along with other things, I wanted to be a part of this organization because of their process and their attention to detail, their intentionality behind things. So thank you for that. You know, Matt just touched it. We're in the award season, so I have a lot of thank yous, but I won't get into too many. But just want to start with Steve Bisciotti, Ozzie Newsome, Eric DeCosta, the Baltimore Ravens organization. They took a chance on a 22, 23-year-old knucklehead, gave me a job, taught me the way, taught me what scouting was from the ground up. Forever grateful and indebted to them for believing in me. And I want to say thank you to Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, the Eagles organization for everything that they've done for me, allowing me to be a director of scouting or director of college scouting and working my way up in leadership roles. but also teaching me the nuances of the game from a different lens, and roster construction and team building. And I'd like to say thank you to George McCaskey, Kevin Warren, Ted Phillips, Ryan Poles, and the Bears organization. It's been a long 4 years. They've wrapped their arms around me, gave me an opportunity when they never gave an opportunity to assistant GM, and that storied franchise's history. Forever appreciative of that and thankful for them, and especially Ryan. Obviously, Matt has a longer relationship with him, but we went through the fire together, and we started off a little rocky, and to be able to come out the other end this past season with the NFC North title, the journey, that was fun. That was fun to be a part of. So thank you there. And then all the players that have been a part of this ride, I wouldn't be here without them. All the success that they showed on the field allowed us success. It's always about the players. It's going to be always about the players. So I want to thank them as well. My Wynn family who's here, Clint Dowdle, Andy Hansen, Jocks McClendon, thank you for your belief in me. I appreciate that. And lastly, my family. My dad's in the back, where he's always in the back every single game. When I was growing up, he was always in the back. So he's still in the back. Love you, man. Thank you. It's been a fun ride. His wife Debbie, thank you. My mom, who couldn't be here. My aunt Cheryl, who's like a mother to me. She's been on this journey the whole way. So thank you for that. And then my family, Elliot, Rooney, and Niall. You guys are my why. You're my purpose. Thank you. The sacrifices that you guys make every day, thank you. There's this thing that, people say, the best thing in life you can give your family, your kids, is time. Unfortunately, in this business, we don't have a lot of time to give. You guys know that as well. But I try to be intentional with that time. I try to maximize that time. But, the best thing in life that I could ever give you guys is your mom. So, Justine, love you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. Dang, I got choked up, man.
Well done. Well done.
All right. We'll open up for questions. Thank you.
We'll go to questions. We have mics on both sides with Matt and Jarvis. Please state your name and affiliation and who your question is for. And we'll start right over here in front with Matt.
This question is for Ian. Jarvis Davis of Locked On Sports Atlanta. Ian, you talked about how Howie Roseman and Ozzie Newsome and Ryan Poles had an effect on you. How do you feel your experiences with them prepared you for this moment?
Yeah, Jarvis, good question. You try to take things from all the people you come across, good and bad. You try to learn from all those experiences. And fortunately enough for me, I've been around some of the greats to ever do it, right? And if I can be half as good as them, that's what I'm striving for. I'm trying to be as good as them. But you learn a little bit of everything from all your people that you come across, and having Oz and Howie and Eric and Ryan amongst others, learned a lot from them.
I'll go to Tori and then to Mark Ramondi.
Hi, Ian. Tori McElhaney, AtlantaFalcons.com. I found a old newspaper clipping from 2007. I believe it was December 2007. Richmond Dispatch Times Dispatch.
Richmond Times Dispatch.
Yeah, it was right before your final game of your football playing career in college, and in that, you and your dad both said that the goal was to become a general manager one day. I know you've kind of gone through your whole career thanking people, but when you look back on kind of that person, what would you say to that person now sitting here today achieving that?
Oh, great question. Oh, man. I actually learned what a general manager was because my dad was, I grew up in the sports and entertainment business because of my dad. So I got a chance to know that there were other opportunities, other avenues outside of just coaching and playing. And I learned that probably around this time when I was living here, like middle school, high school. So I always knew I wanted to be a general manager since, those days. And I thought I'd have a little bit longer playing career like this guy, but I didn't. I wasn't very good. So, but I knew I wanted to get into roster building and team construction. And I'd probably tell that guy we did it. You stay true to your values. You did it the right way. I'm sure you wanted it to happen a lot longer or a lot quicker, but it happened in the right time. And I've learned a lot along the way, and I'm appreciative of that.
Mark Raimondi, and then hometown Brandon Leak.
Hey, and Mark Raimondi with ESPN. How are you? Congrats.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Matt and Kevin were up here talking last week about the vision for this team, and two of the big words they used were smart and physical. How can that vision kind of take shape from a personnel standpoint, would you say?
Oh, that's what we're going to be. We're going to be smart, tough, physical, mentally and physically tough, right? And that's a part of the process that we're going to instill and input with our scouting staff, both college and pro scouting. We're going to look at those things along the way during our college trips and through the evaluation process. Talking to different people at different schools and watching tape. I think you can kind of see some of those things when you evaluate the tape. But that's what we're going to be. That's what we're going to be built on.
Home team.
Here you go, Coach. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank
Home
you.
team, Brandon Leak from Sports Radio 680 The Fan. You have been in championship organizations with the Baltimore Ravens and the Eagles. Is there a common DNA, a championship DNA that's common between winning and making the entire journey through a Super Bowl win? And what are the things you've learned during your time in both of those organizations that you personally could use as amplification of those things you've already learned?
Yeah, great question, Brandon. Kind of what we just talked about there. Smart, tough, physical. We're going to build through the trenches. If you look at all those teams, that's the philosophy. Draft, develop, and retain. That's going to be our philosophy here too. You can't have enough draft picks. We did that in Baltimore. You want to retain your own. So that's what we're going to do. Those are common themes that they both had. So we'll bring that here as well.
Miles and over to Joe Patrick.
Hey, Ian. Miles Garrett, Fox 5 Sports. Welcome back to Atlanta and welcome back to Roswell. It's a good spot. You obviously mentioned the people you've worked with, Ozzie Newsome, Ryan Poles, and Howie Roseman. Was there one specific element that you took from all those guys that you want to implement in your own journey now as general manager of the Falcons?
The discipline. They have discipline in different ways. But at the end of the day, it's discipline to the process, the plan. You've got to always, be prepared to pivot. But the process and the plan are critical. And I learned that from all three of those guys.
We go Joe, and then Mark Zeno, and then Allison.
I have one for each, if that's okay. Ian, I just wanted to know, I know you mentioned that you're from here, kind of have some memories of watching the Falcons. I was just curious about that. And then for Matt, I also wanted to ask, when you're going through all of these interviews with potential GMs, they're all, very well respected and credentialed. So what are exactly you trying to tease out out of all these interviews, and what separated Ian?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah. Growing up here, I literally got my first pair of dress shoes at Friedman Shoes right downtown, right around the corner, right? My family has bricks in Centennial Park, I remember, back in the mid-'90s, Chris Chandler, Jamal Anderson. I was offensive lineman, so Bob Whitfield, right? This husky kid in my kitchen trying to do the Dirty Bird. Still can't do it. My daughter's a dancer. I'm sure she'll teach me one day. But those are the memories I had, growing up here. And the city was electric. It was on fire during the mid-'90s with the Olympics and the Braves. So those are core memories that I hope that I can be a small part of bringing back to the city.
Yeah, I think from my perspective and our perspective as a search committee, we were looking for somebody in this position that was well-versed in terms of their experience and has touched all of the different parts of scouting. That was something that was important for us because there's a lot that falls under Ian's control. And so you want somebody who is comfortable, who understands each individual's role in his department. So that was something that was really big. Aligned vision on how to build a football team, of what wins games and the type of players that you want to bring into the building. That was something that was really important to us. And then I think the digging and diving was on the process of what does his process look like? How's that going to look when you come in and you're in control of that? I believe we were very thorough in both searches, but specifically on the general manager front, very thorough in terms of vetting the candidates, of having multiple different conversations with each candidate to try and, flush out what we felt like was the best process. And I think Ian was outstanding in that department, and we feel very strongly about his vision for us moving forward.
Allison, and then we'll come over here.
Hey, Allison with Channel 2 in Atlanta. I was listening to a podcast that you'd done a couple years ago, and I thought it was interesting. You said you were inspired by the future, but also afraid of falling behind. So how will you use that mentality to become a great GM for the Atlanta Falcons, and how do you view this roster? Do you think this is like a win-now roster, or still needs a few pieces to get there?
Yeah, I think one of the tougher things just being in this position and building is you've got to be in the now and you've got to be in the future. So I never want to mortgage the future for the now. You've got to be intentional and thoughtful in that approach. And this roster, the cupboard isn't bare, right? We have talent on this roster, but it's going to be my job to continue to add competition to it, to enhance it and help Kevin and his staff get the right players in here so we can consistently compete for championships.
All right, well, that was an extended look at the press conference where the Atlanta Falcons were introducing Ian Cunningham as their new general manager. They've had quite a few changes in leadership in the front office in just the last 2 or 3 weeks. It all started with the team hiring Matt Ryan, franchise legend, as their president of football. Of course, last week they brought in Kevin Stefanski as their new head coach, and now Ian Cunningham as their new general manager. And with that, as we approach the bottom of the hour here on WTOC Plus, we are going to wrap things up for our morning shows. We'll be back in about 30 minutes for the news at noon. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website for the latest updates at WTOC.com. I'd like to thank you all for watching this morning, and here's Local News Live.